You're watching NASCAR Tube. And now, your host, Evan Jones.
What is going on, you guys? NASCAR EJ coming to you once again from the NASCAR Tube, and I feel like making a little change today. Well, I see you see me now. Yeah. NASCAR EJ coming to you once again from the NASCAR Tube, and you actually can see me now and hear me in the new studio. And I'm joined by my wonderful girlfriend over here, which you can't see, but she's here with me. She wanted to see what it was like when I do this. And actually, it's the first time I've actually done it on the actual camera. So bear with me and hold with me until we get this right. I'm kind of new to this. But, well, speaking of racing now, wow, what 2 weeks we've had. We had Kurt Busch get back to victory lane in Richmond. And now that we've gone to Talladega, we have Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins at his home track nearly. I don't really know if it's his home track, really. I guess Charlotte would be his home track, but Junior Nation came out to surprise Sunday. But really, really happy for Kurt Busch to win to win Richmond. And we all knew it was coming. We know it was coming quickly at some point. That team's just showing such strength. You know, he missed the first two races, first three races, and just, man, Kurt's been through so much, and I've explained that on previous videos. But wow, he's really stepped it up, and really glad to see Kurt get back to victory lane. And you know it had to be emotional. I mean, you know it had to be emotional. But we had Kurt Busch finishing first. And Kevin Harvick was in second. So we had a Stewart-Haas Racing first and second finish. And then at Talladega we had a first and second finish of Hendrick cars, which was Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson's showing improvement, coming back up. He finished third at Richmond, finished second at Talladega, like I said a while ago. Wow, he just keeps showing improvement. And the Penske guys, I think ever since Bristol, I feel like ever since they got in that wreck, they didn't get to race Bristol like they could have. And you know, the Fords and Penske is really good at those short tracks, like especially Keselowski and Logano they're still on top right now. I mean, they are still on the top, but they feel like they haven't been the same. They hadn't been right. I know Joey led the first 100 laps nearly at Richmond, but Keselowski's not really showing anything. He's I don't see where they're really getting where they need to be, but I think they're kind of in a slump right now. And Roush Fenway I don't know what's wrong with them. They need help is what they need. They really need help. And if you look at Carl Edwards, which came from Roush Fenway, that team needs some help as well, I think. And really surprising, because we thought Carl would have been one of the top runners of this year, and so far hasn't really shown himself to be. I mean, he just got bad luck at Talladega. Anybody that got in the wreck at Talladega would have bad luck. But first, let's look at Richmond, and here are your highlights for Richmond.
Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing, drivers!
After postponing due to weather on Saturday night, the green flag dropped at Richmond International Raceway Sunday afternoon, with Coors Light pole winner Joey Logano leading the way. The action picked up early as Danica Patrick was involved in several early race incidents, including this near miss with Casey Mears.
Oh, Danica turned around by Casey Mears. Dale Earnhardt gets into the back of her, but everybody's able to continue.
On lap 128, Danica narrowly escaped a spinning Joey Gase. Then, During the ensuing caution, Clint Boyer clipped the number 10 car, sending Danica for a ride. Danica's Stewart-Haas Racing teammate Kurt Busch took the lead from Joey Logano on lap 95 and didn't look back.
And Kurt Busch is only the second driver to lead this race.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Stewart were battling on a restart with 43 to go when they made contact. The 14 cut a tire, sending Stewart spinning. After the race, Jr. expressed his displeasure with Stewart.
He hit me in the left rear quarter panel. I was trying to clear the 51 on the outside of me, so I was as high as I could go. So that's him.
Several late race restarts weren't enough to keep Kurt Busch down as he sailed on to his first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series victory of the 2015 season.
Great job, Crossfire. Everybody, this is the team win.
The 291 laps Busch led were the most he's led in one race in his entire career. But the driver of the number 41 machine was quick to point out that this was a team win.
Well, it's an incredible feeling. I mean, it's a total team effort. And the way that everything came together, it just seemed like we were building and building and building towards a great finish like this.
So Kurt Busch did win the race on Sunday afternoon. And like I said a while ago, man, this is great to see Kurt Busch actually back in victory lane. I know it was just a little over a year ago that he was in victory lane, but the fact that he's gone to victory lane while being involved in all this stuff he's been involved in, it's just amazing to me how fast this team come back up. I mean, if you recall back at the video that I put up, if you saw it, it was like the third video I put up on this channel, I think. And it was about the breaking news of Kurt being suspended indefinitely. And I believe I said in the video that I believe we saw the end of his career, that we would never see him race again. And boy, do I regret saying that, because I was wrong. I was just so amazed that, and I was kind of optimistic. I would tell you the truth, I was kind of optimistic even about seeing Tony Gibson come over and helping Kurt, because he's the same way as his brother is, talking about what kind of driver needs to be, what kind of crew chief needs to be with that driver, because we know how Kyle is, and we saw the tension between him and Dave Rogers last year, especially at Bristol, and him and Dave started getting off on a swing, and so was Steve Addington as well. But Kurt's kind of the same way. He's been with Jimmy Finning, and if anybody can handle the pressure, we know Jimmy Finning can. But he's been with him. He's been with Daniel Knost. I don't think Daniel Knost was a bad crew chief for Kurt, but he was young, and I think you need an experienced crew chief to handle drivers that have high tempers like that. And I think Tony Gibson, and like Jimmy Finning did, Jimmy Finning and Kurt Busch were a great pair in my opinion, because Jimmy can handle Kurt in the same way with Tony Gibson now. And I don't know why I didn't see that earlier, but I actually see that now. And speaking of Tony Gibson, Tony Gibson's been there. He's been a crew chief for a long time. Not that many wins, but that doesn't mean you don't have experience. You have experience on top of the pit box, and that's what Tony Gibson has. And I like that pair now. I really do like that pair. Daniel Knost, and I don't know much about Daniel Knost, but him and Danica Patrick do not seem like a great pair to me. And I just don't see where the chemistry can be involved. And Danica, man, that highlight video at Richmond, how many Danicas are we going to see spin out? I mean, goodness gracious. I don't want to rag the girl, but there's got to be a time where you ask yourself, is this something that I can really do? Because, I don't like to talk bad about a driver. I don't have a favorite driver. I like to be, leave it at an open playing field. Even. But I just do not see how in the world Danica Patrick just goes out and races in a race and contend for a lead, she can't contend. And I know at short tracks when you go to Martinsville, she's good at Martinsville. And even at Martinsville, she was everywhere. She was she has a temper too. And that doesn't help. She's like the freshman in high school that would never shut up. And I'll just tell it like it is. You know, I don't see a problem with Danica, period. But she's got a temper against drivers that she thinks are doing them wrong. And my opinion, get over it. That's what I have to say about Danica Patrick. I don't think any of the drivers out there are out there to harm her. And I have to keep my calm about it. It gets so annoying to me that it's every single race, and she tries to blame someone else for it. And I just don't think her and Daniel Knost are the right pair together. Because I don't think Daniel Knost I don't think he can handle her temper. Because she's a lot like Kurt and Kyle are in a way. She has a temper. She has a very high temper. We saw her back in IndyCar, and she had a temper then too. So I just don't know about Danica. I just think she really needs to sit back and look at what she's doing and make sure that is stock car racing where she needs to be. Because she's surely not having the success that she did at in IndyCar. But going on to the wreck between Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt Jr., if you look up here, you'll see the video playing over my shoulder. It's just the way I look at that wreck is I know Dale Earnhardt Jr. said Tony Stewart got in the back of him in his left rear quarter panel and just basically spun himself out. I just don't see how Dale Jr. It did look like he came down a little bit. I had to review the video many times to actually decide my point. I did think about the possibilities. Tony Stewart, look at Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s standpoint. Look at his perspective. It's the front stretch at Richmond. For one, it's Richmond. For two, it's the front stretch at Richmond. That is a hard curve straight stretch. Well, it's not straight, it's a curve stretch. But you cannot, you have to come down a little bit to get, because if you don't, you're going to run into the wall on turn one. So, or before you get into turn one. So I see what Dale Earnhardt Jr. was doing. And to me, it looked like Tony Stewart may have been crowding Dale Earnhardt Jr. up at the top. And kind of like, if it was a football game, I would call that as interference. Because I did think that what Tony Stewart was doing was interfering with Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s position on the track. And if it was on the back stretch and he ran into the back corner, he would have spun out, and that would have been Tony Stewart's fault. But I would kind of default it. The way I look at it is it's Richmond racing. It's short track racing, and whatever. You know, you can have your standpoint, you can have your opinion on it, but it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's all over with now. I suppose those guys are good. Whatever. But, you know, it's really not anything that you can do about it now. But let's look at Talladega's highlights, and we'll talk about Talladega.
Jeff Gordon led the field to the green flag for the start of the Geico 500 after grabbing his 80th career Coors Light Pole Award and third of the 2015 season.
Green flags in the air. Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing, boys!
Gordon managed to stay up toward the front of the field, but it was Tony Stewart breaking out to an early lead. The first caution came out on lap 18. When Brian Scott, who was running in the 27th position, went for a spin after he lost control of his 33 car, collecting Michael Waltrip in the process. Under caution, Ryan Newman's crew ran into trouble when his race car caught on fire in the number 31 pit stall. Safety officials were quick to react and managed to put out the flames, no injuries were reported. Back under green, it was Gordon back out front, along with his teammate Jimmy Johnson. On lap 47, Trevor Bayne, who was running toward the front of the pack, got arrow loose on the exit of turn 2, triggering a 15-car pileup, taking out some of the sport's top names, including Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, and Greg Biffle. The wreck resulted in a red flag. The race progressed and several drivers managed to fight their way through the field, but the Hendrick cars remained up front. With 31 laps to go, final green flag pit stops were underway, but the caution flag would wave when Austin Dillon's race car went up in flames, ending a strong day for the 3-car.
Wow, that's a blaze.
It is, and it's hot. It's a hot fire.
While making his green flag stop, Gordon suffered a costly penalty for speeding on pit road, forcing the 24 car to restart at the tail end of the field. Colwitt led the field back to green, but Earnhardt Jr. was quick to reclaim first place, taking Jimmy Johnson with him. With 5 laps to go, the field remained single file, but drivers were setting up for one final run at the top spot. On the final lap, multiple drivers toward the back of the pack began to wreck, while Johnson and others desperately tried to make a move on Jr., but no one would have enough for the 88 car, as Earnhardt Jr. picked up his first win of the 2015 season and first win at Talladega since 2004.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. checkered flag at Talladega.
I got my confidence back now. I know what I need to do, and that's run hard. Not lay back and not worry about crashing out or bad points.
Johnson came to the stripe in second, and Paul Menard finished the race in third.
And as we did see, Dale Earnhardt Jr. did win the race. We had a Hendrick Motorsports top 2 finish. And I'm telling you what, I'll tell you right now, I've been to a Talladega race, and if you haven't been, and it just separates every single NASCAR race from the schedule. If you haven't been to Talladega, go. Because I'm telling you right now, Talladega is a track worth noting that they are Junior Nation all over. And when Dale Jr. wins there, I've never been when Dale Jr. wins. But I could only imagine what it was like there Sunday. I know for a fact when Junior leads during the race, you are on your feet in the grandstands. Everyone in the even if you're not a Dale Jr. fan, you are on your feet during the race when Junior is leading. And it was amazing, and I saw it on TV, is that when he was in Victory Lane, the grandstands were still full. And I think they even made that notable on the broadcast. But the grandstands were still full. And usually they're not when anybody wins. Most people, they don't even stay for the Victory Lane celebration. For one, you can't really see it. Where Victory Lane is at Talladega, it's so big. The grandstands are a mile long on the front stretch. But I'm telling you, when you see Talladega, when Dale Jr. is leading, or when he wins, I can't even imagine it. I would have been hightailing. I even tweeted on it and said, everybody evacuate Talladega Superspeedway safely, because Junior Nation, an army of Junior Nations coming. So I even tweeted that the other night if you saw that. But wow, and I'm really happy that Greg Ives, and that is one true place to win your first Sprint Cup race at Talladega Superspeedway with Dale Earnhardt Jr. as your driver. Whoa. I could only imagine Greg Ives' experience the other day with that. But let's actually talk about the race here. Fast forward, let's talk about Ryan Newman first and the pit safety with the fire on pit road. And I think NASCAR needs to look. We've looked at driver safety. Now I think we need to look at pit crew safety. And I think it's a big deal. And the reason why I think it is because fire is nothing to play around with. And we've had the deal where if you wreck your car, do not get out of your car. Started last year after Tony Stewart had the incident with Kevin Ward Jr. at the dirt track race. But at the same time, I think NASCAR needs to look at the pit road safety, pit crews. You know, we've added helmets, and Paul Menard's team actually was wearing the gas man, and I think every driver, don't hold me against it, but I think every single pit road guy, tire changers and all, wore full face helmets with the sock, with the fire sock underneath the helmet to protect them from fires. And I think that's a good move, but I'd hate to wear that in the summer. Man, especially when you get into July and even Sunday. I mean, it was hot. It was a hot day. And I know it was here in Tennessee, but, Talladega is only 2 hours south of us. But I think NASCAR needs to look at pit road safety. And I don't think it was really a safety move, but when they went to the electronic pit road monitoring this year, they did eliminate a official being over the wall during a pit stop or whenever. So that's 43 less people on pit road, and I think that's a good call from NASCAR. But I think we need to really look at the pit road guys' safety, pit crews' safety in these races. It's a full team effort. So I think it's a smart way if NASCAR would look at that. Going to lap 47 during the race, you see here in the corner, we had the big one at Talladega, and that was we always look at the big one. It started with Trevor Bayne. Trevor Bayne got loose. I can't really decide if I think it was both a contributing factor. Kurt Busch was on the inside of him, and then Paul Menard was on the outside, and it just sucked him around. It sucked him around. I think Paul Menard's car sucked him around coming out of 2, and Kurt kind of just lifted him up into the wall. And I think that's really, it's just one of those things. And we saw that back at Daytona as well. And also the new qualifying format was great. I thought it was great. I think it was fair, and really the fastest car wins. But starting out with the big one early was different. We usually see a big one later into the race, but we saw it earlier this year, and I don't think there's anything wrong. It doesn't matter. It's during the race, I think. But the reason I'm saying that is because I saw some people say, why is the big one happening so early? Big one's supposed to happen 20 laps to go when everybody's hyped. Well, a few years ago we had it on lap 8, I believe. So, we saw multiple big ones before too, but we only had one big one, and we had a couple more wrecks, but it wasn't anything big. Poor Carl Edwards just got bad luck. Just got bad luck. Michael Waltrip did. Just anybody that got caught in a wreck got bad luck. And that's just part of Talladega racing. Any restrictor plate racing period is the big one. Any wrecking happens, it just happens. And you just get unlucky. But I'm really liking the new way Talladega racing is. It's better than what it used to be. There are points in it where it gets boring when they pull the freight train going around the top of the track. And it does get boring then, because there's not going to be action until somebody makes a move. And on the last lap, on the last 5 laps, I guess, I was thinking about lap 4. I was thinking, okay, somebody got to make a move out of this freight train line, or it's going to be way too late. And I'm thinking they better make a move fast. But it ended up happening coming to the white flag out of turn 4. So Denny Hamlin moved down, and Ryan Blaney, I felt great for him. I think he pulled a smart move. Didn't make that move. I think that's smart of him to do that, because he had a great day. He had a 3rd place finish in a car that, he's running full time in it, but at the same time, it's a single car team. And you can't complain with the 3rd place finish in a single car team. So, and I know it was restrict plate racing, but still, it's the position that counts. It's a number like any other race, and it's another race on the schedule. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets his first win of the season, and I believe that the chase field is starting to take its place, or the chase grid field. And I know there's two drivers, Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson, have 2 wins this year. So we'll see how it goes. But Duke, I want to congratulate Kurt Busch on winning Richmond, and I do want to congratulate Dale Earnhardt Jr. for winning at Talladega Superspeedway this weekend. And going on to next weekend, and I'm going to only announce one weekend because there will be weekly videos out now instead of 2. Like I said, after I get all this set up, we're going back to 1 video each week. And this isn't as hard at all to edit than doing the voice recordings, because I find when I do the voice recordings, you end up having more to actually edit, and you delete the uhs and the ands and the it's just the long pauses. You delete those, and but right now this is truly me. I mean, you can tell there's no stops in the video or anything, so I'm working on it. So bear with me. But going on to the next weekend for the, gotta be serious when I say this, SpongeBob SquarePants 400 at Kansas Motor Speedway. And my girlfriend's over here laughing at me. So that's like, you can't take it seriously. You can't take that name seriously. But I even hear that Bubba Wallace Jr. this weekend was his car, the number 6 Roush Fenway Racing Mustang, and the Xfinity Series was actually had a SpongeBob paint scheme on it. The front of the car looked like a sponge. It had SpongeBob on the back. I believe the number 55 car that's being driven by David Reagan this weekend is going to have that paint scheme on it. And forgot about that. Let me talk about that for a minute. David Reagan, I think this is a great move for him. I kind of did hear a little bit of things about Front Row Motorsports and him. It's just kind of, I don't really want to talk about it right now because I really don't know that much detail, but I did hear a few things about it. But now that we have Eric Jones moving into the number 18 car, taking place for Kyle Busch while he is out on leave, I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I hope they don't do what they did to Joey Logano and put him in too early. But this is a fill-in position. This gets him experience in Cup. I think it's a taste. I think it's a good taste in Cup. But I'm kind of optimistic about it, But, to do what he did at Bristol, to do what Eric Jones did at Bristol, I think he's prepared to do whatever he needs to do. I mean, he walked into that race, didn't know. He was sitting on his couch watching the race in Concord. And then he got the phone call, and they flew him on a plane. All he had was a steering wheel to bring. He brought his own steering wheel, hopped in that car that was set for Denny Hamlin, didn't change the seat. All they did was change the steering wheel, put him in a fire suit, and he raced the rest of that race, which was basically the whole race. I mean, it was from lap 23 to 500. So, man, the kid's good. He's only 18 years old, and I think this will be a good experience for him to actually race in the Cup Series. And I don't think that it's going to hurt him that bad. But to put him in a full-time ride or even a part-time ride in his own car, not yet. Not yet. I don't think so. I think he needs at least another year in Xfinity Series before he moves up, or maybe even 2. But he's good in the trucks, we know that. But David Reagan is moving into the number 55 car, I guess taking place of Brett Moffitt. I guess Brett Moffitt's going back to, I haven't heard where he's going. But Brett Moffitt did a great job. Yeah, he got that moving my pop filter. He got an 8th place finish, I believe, at Atlanta, in Atlanta Motor Speedway, the second race of the season. So, don't see a problem with Eric Jones coming up, and I don't see a problem with David Reagan moving over. But really excited for next weekend. And I always like Kansas. I always like the track. And now that they've got it reconfigured, it's fast. It is a fast track. And who I'm going to pick for this win is actually going to be Jeff Gordon. And I thought about this. What does that mean, look for? Goodness, I got the devil eye over there. But the reason I picked Jeff Gordon, he won there last year. And basically, I pick him because it's time for him to win. We know he's good at those tracks. If it's not him, I want to say it's going to be a Hendrick driver. And I got some redeeming to do because both my picks had terrible weekends the past 2 weeks. Carl Edwards had a terrible weekend at Richmond. He finished outside the top 20. I mean, it was terrible. And Greg Biffle got caught in a wreck at Talladega. He got caught in the big one. So my picks aren't turning out to be right. But I'm really sticking to this one. I think Jeff Gordon. Come on, Jeff, you got it. I want to see you in the chase this year. But I'm really glad that this is actually turning out to be a good season so far. But I'm going to leave it there, and I hope you like the new setup. Any suggestions, leave in the comments below. Like this video, share this video, please, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And follow me on, if I can find where the, well, okay, I'm way discoordinated. Down here, or over here, are the Twitter names. So don't forget to follow me on Twitter and follow the channel on Twitter. I'm always posting things on there. I plan on posting more. I want to know your opinion on a Facebook page. And I've had more luck with Facebook because you can actually branch out to more people. On Twitter is more of a live update system. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to get away from Twitter because I know the NASCAR community is huge on Twitter. So I definitely want to do more on Twitter. But let me know about a Facebook page, and I do want to actually look into that. But anyway, guys, as always, y'all have a nice day.
Too hard, too far ahead to be a factor. And for Gene Haas, Kurt Busch has his 26th Sprint Cup win.
Nice job, everybody.
That 41 car ran like one of those Haas CNC machines today.